through the grass, or might even break down these rocks, which might make it that much more difficult for DeMusliM to hold his gold expansion. And smart play from BratOK here. Doesn't want to engage across the middle directly, where DeMusliM's forces are waiting right now at the Xel'Naga watchtower. And DeMusliM is reinforcing on the ground with some tanks, but it looks like just another starport going down as well. So he's just going to be cranking out the Banshee Vikings and having a few Ravens in the mix there. So forces are now moving out for BratOK. Which way is going to go? I think he thought about temporarily taking down those rocks up the top, but looks like he just wants to run in here while he has the timing in. Unfortunately, it looks like DeMusliM temporarily distracted, and BratOK going to be setting down the siege tanks. Very bad news for DeMusliM at this point. Now the air battle is about to happen, and Cloak going down for all the Banshees. DeMusliM temporarily retreating at this point. Wants the scan to actually fade a little bit. There are a few supply depots that do fall. I think DeMusliM will win this air battle if he can control it well enough and tank fire on the ground forces. So DeMusliM has won the air battle actually with a superior Viking army, and now the Banshees are just going to start flying away, although he has to lift off his command center while it's getting blasted, and everything just going down, losing a bunch of SCVs I think that were trying to run away at that point. These tanks from BratOK need to get out of here as soon as possible, as they will get killed as soon as DeMusliM looks at it. And I think he does see them now, so BratOK switching up his play probably. Looks like he's getting a ton of Marines and combat shield going down for him. So this air army of DeMusliM was able to counter that ground force of BratOK, and BratOK now going to be switching things up a little bit. Has taken his third expansion already, and now DeMusliM going to be moving in to take out his revenge. Look at that. This is a very menacing air force for DeMusliM at this point, and should be holding out, although there's a ton of units on the ground, and taking out that missile turret temporarily. The Vikings aren't going to be able to do too much at this point. More Banshees are coming in for DeMusliM, and just trying his very best to keep that harass going down right here. Although the ground force for BratOK is decently significant. There are no medevacs out in the field, so once the Marines stim, they really can't recover at that point and are very vulnerable to any sort of attack. But the massing the stim Marines might be a little bit more cost effective for BratOK in the long run, although he has lost more units to this attack. And it looks like there is a drop going down on the backside for BratOK, taking out a few of the starports right there. So temporarily holding DeMusliM back, and DeMusliM is able to take out everything. Throwing down 3 more starports, so replenishing his starports right now. And BratOK going to be going yet for another expansion, really playing the macro game at this point. Isn't going for gas at his expansion because it looks like he's just pumping out a ton of Marines. And DeMusliM trying to take his side of the map, but unable to do so, has to retreat at this point. He does have his third expansion down, but BratOK actually now has 4 on the field and just a ton of ground units. So BratOK going to be switching over to Marine Viking versus the Viking Banshee army of DeMusliM at this point. DeMusliM with a menacing number of Vikings and Banshees in the air, clubbing them together temporarily, and going to be coming down onto the back to do some harass here as well. Catching these Marines a little bit off guard. I'm not sure if he really wants to engage at this point. Trying to catch as many of them as possible, is cloaking his Banshees and forcing BratOK to throw down as many scans as possible. Now, I think what DeMusliM doesn't actually know is that BratOK has that 4th base, so has a ton of orbital commands to throw down the scans, and trying his very best right here. And a major battle going on. 5 more Banshees coming out for DeMusliM. Just taking a quick look at the unit count, there are 5 Banshees, 11 Vikings in the air, although there are 22 Marines on the ground, and BratOK just going to be just mining away at minerals. Doesn't even really need gas as importantly in this game, mostly for the Vikings. Now going to be throwing down a few more starports on his side as well. The 4th command center going down for DeMusliM, and our 4th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th command center, I'm sorry, 4th expansion about to happen for DeMusliM at some point. And DeMusliM now just trying to keep that pressure onto the second natural for BratOK. BratOK trying to claim that high ground and do as much as possible. A little SCV right here getting some mineral and running back. I'm not entirely sure why these SCVs are remote mining. Oh, there was a sign during that transfer that he just, I guess DeMusliM still has out onto the map. So they're going to be very secretly trying to mine from that base from a very long distance right now. And BratOK trying to make sure that this side of the base isn't taken like he has on his side, and now going to be breaking down the backside of these rocks. Not good news for DeMusliM at all. I hope he turns this into, I know this is going to be some sort of expansion, but would be great if this actually became a planetary fortress instead to defend on these back rocks. But right now, it looks like DeMusliM is going to be out macroed and does run some Marines down into the base. This base is heavily guarded by missile turrets at this point, trying to micro these right now. And looking at the unit composition, 16 Banshees up in the air and a bunch more coming out as well. So just really committing to this massive Banshee attack. I'm curious if he's ever going to switch over to battle cruisers at any point, as having a few battle cruisers in the air would definitely help out against the Marines. They would draw that fire, a significant amount of fire, and it looks like, unfortunately for DeMusliM, wasn't able to take this expansion, so his macro is a bit behind right now. And while the bases are being built, he doesn't have that fourth base, knows that he's behind on BratOK, and BratOK finally opting for some gas as well. Now BratOK has a very menacing air force on his side too, so things are going to be evening out a little bit for BratOK at this point, getting +2 weapons for his ground forces, and both sides are actually maxed out. So major battle about to go down. I think DeMusliM really wants to try to secure some sort of expansion if he can, and just throwing down another command center out in the middle of nowhere. This, I'm not sure if any of these, looks like this one is going to go into an orbital command. Desperately needs to try to take his side of the map. And major battle going down right now. DeMusliM cloaking every single one of his Banshees and just trying to do some damage, but it looks like, oh my gosh, there's actually going to be multiple of the, I forgot what they're called, but they're going to explode if he can't run away in time. It doesn't look like they have the speed upgrade, but they do go down right now before they can actually hit. If those exploded, it would have been almost GG. Sorry, the Seeker missile, because they do 100 splash damage in the air, and BratOK going to take advantage of routing those forces around to try to run in and do as much damage as possible. Repair going down for the, but the SCVs are getting blasted away, and DeMusliM is able to take down most of the ground forces with his cloaked Banshees at this point. But DeMusliM suffering heavy economic losses right now, and just looking at the income temp, 83 over 59. BratOK is well established at his bases, so really just out macroing his opponent at the moment. And since most of his army are just Marines, really, look at how many Ravens he has up into the air, all of them with Seeker missile. I think he just desperately wants to sneak off a Seeker missile into that clump in the air, as everything will pop very quickly. Banshees only have 140 HP, so 2 Seeker missiles exploding will fry the entire army. And so, moving in right now, as best as he can, there is a siege tank down. BratOK has very strong map control at the moment, and medevacs are going to be picked off in the air, retreating because he cannot attack those ground units with the Vikings. Banshees are clumped up together here, taking a quick look at the unit tab. 18 Banshees up in the air, 25 Marines, and with the stim, I'm not quite sure. Oh, unfortunately, DeMusliM's forces are going to be caught a little bit off guard, and Seeker missiles trying to come out, I think, but just BratOK getting sandwiched there for a moment. Instead, going to be throwing down some PDDs to try to defend against the Raven, to try to keep his Ravens alive. And right now, looks like DeMusliM is aggregating most of his forces right here, trying to go in for some harass at the moment. This gold is already mined out, so these harvesters aren't doing anything. SCVs now running away while getting picked off quickly by the Banshees. And now BratOK, I don't think he has enough for a Seeker missile, so plenty to get out of there, but enough detection up in the air to hunt down the cloaked Banshees. And BratOK with just a really great reaction, throwing down even more missile turrets right here, not allowing DeMusliM to come in and do any sort of harassment. And it looks like these Banshees are just all going to get picked off at this point, as BratOK does go in for a surround and fries all the Banshees up into the air. So taking a quick look at the army count though, DeMusliM still able to replenish while all this is going on. Now has his bases established finally and is going to start mining from them, but right now mined out of pretty much everything except for his second natural. And so making a transition over, making a major transfer over, it looks like BratOK really wants to try to take that down. I think at this point he knows that he is ahead in the economy. He is mined out of multiple spots as well, but already has the bottom left corner expansion there, and just going to be moving out across the center of the map right now. Very menacing force for him. This might be DeMusliM's last hurrah at this point. And so major battle about to ensue. A ton of cloak going down, but not going to be doing as much. These secret missiles are coming out. If they explode, it will be GG for a lot of these Banshees, and DeMusliM just going to be running away. I don't know if the upgrade has gone down for the secret missile where they keep things out, but the secret missiles did drive them in the other direction, and now BratOK just going to be moving in and taking out this expansion. This is very critical for DeMusliM to hold, as he was mining, and a lot of his SCVs were here. So now the Banshees are back, trying to take down trying the very best to have the Vikings take down the Ravens, as the cloak is not going to be able to do much good at this point, and is able to take out most of them, but is it going to be able to survive really? And it looks like he might be able to. Just really needs to take out this last Raven, as his anti-air is minimal at this point, and now all these Banshees are going to be going down to the Viking army of BratOK. So unfortunately, that lone Raven with just 10 hit points was enough to drive off the Banshee army, and the Banshee army now going to be moving in as well. But looking at the reinforcements already for BratOK, just a ton of them out here moving in across the top. Those rocks are already broken, and DeMusliM's going to have his expansion taken down. I don't think he's going to have enough, and a GG from DeMusliM. So great play from DeMusliM in this game, trying his very best to make the Banshee Viking combination work. And good reaction from BratOK, just pumping out a ton of Ravens and reinforcing with ground units. So also a great job expanding as well. BratOK does win this, sending DeMusliM into the losers bracket, where he does have a chance to actually come back to the top. And if he does, he would rematch BratOK for the final round. He would be down 1-0. I think that is the rule. So looking forward to casting those games. This has been JCS StarCraft signing off.